Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be talking about hand eczema. I'm going to start with why somebody would develop hand eczema. Then I'm going to go into preventative measures. So if you're somebody who is prone to eczema and you don't have hand eczema yet, some preventative measures that you can do. Then towards the end, we're going to dive into what you can do if you actively have hand eczema. Let's dive into why you might have hand eczema. Might be kind of interesting to you, but you know how people with eczema always try to tell you to take probiotics because they'll help heal your gut, and you want your gut to be diverse with lots of different bacteria. Well, the same thing actually applies to the skin. Well, a lot of people with eczema end up taking antibiotics, which leads to candida overgrowth, and that's all occurring in the gut. So taking that and applying the same knowledge to the skin, a lot of times you're gonna find nurses or estheticians who have to wear gloves all the time, wash their hands all the time, and use hand sanitizer all day long to be the people that actually have hand eczema. And it's because their skin microbiome is changing for the negative. What I mean by that is your antimicrobial, antibacterial soaps and hand sanitizers are antibiotic for the skin, and that's not a good thing. So you guys know how candida likes to overgrow in the gut? Well, staph likes to overgrow on the surface of your skin. So a lot of times if you're getting your skin swabbed, well, your eczema swabbed, it's gonna come back and say that you have staph. That does not mean you have a staph infection. It just means that there's an overgrowth of staph because your skin microbiome is out of balance. I have this really silly analogy that I always like to use. I use this within the Empowered Eczema program, and so if my clients are watching this, they're going to be super familiar with this analogy. So pretend that your gut is the safari and that your skin is the Arctic, and candida is a lion and polar bears are staph. Basically what happens is the environment changes and certain creatures cannot live in that environment anymore. So let's say the safari, which usually is very hot and dry, has now changed because you wiped it out. Like, an antibiotic is kind of like an atomic bomb that goes off and just wipes the safari clean, but there's certain animals that are strong enough to survive. So we're just gonna pretend that that's lions. I don't know if this is fully correct in the animal kingdom, but we're gonna just say lions. And so you have this overgrowth of lions, they're just having the best time ever, they're growing and multiplying, and that is kind of like candida for the gut. So let's turn to the skin microbiome, and the reason why I'm comparing the Arctic and the safari is because there's actually different bacteria that live in your gut than lives on your skin. So if you take probiotics, that is going to populate your gut, but that's not necessarily going to be the same probiotics that would populate your skin. So ideally, in both situations, you want to create a better environment. Going back to the Arctic, you want to have penguins and flies and whales and seals, but when you're somebody who wears those gloves that are toxic, you're washing your hands all the time, you're getting rid of all of the good, diverse environment. So you're getting rid of the penguins and the flies and the seals, and all that's left are these mean polar bears, which would be staph. And so it ends up just leading to eczema in both situations. So what you want to do is create an environment where you can have a more diverse species start to live in both your gut and on your skin. So this is the why you have hand eczema. Now we're going to go into the preventative measures, which is if you currently do not have hand eczema and you want to prevent developing hand eczema, especially if you're prone to it and you've previously gotten rid of it. The very first thing that I want you to do is buy a big bag of dead sea salt, and I'm going to link that in the description if you want to buy it on Amazon. But dead sea salt is amazing for actually creating that good diverse skin bacteria. Another thing to do that is going into the ocean, playing in the sand, or gardening, getting your hands into the soil, because all of those things actually have positive bacteria that will help bring in the penguins and all of the good stuff that your skin needs to then combat the polar bears or the staph. Something else that you can use, especially in the winter. I always find that in the winter my hands are a little bit drier and I feel like they're more prone to developing hand eczema because I'm not out in nature and I'm not really getting that good bacteria on my skin. So there's something that I've been using on my skin topically, and it's called Hempanol, and it's by North American Herb and Spice, which I know you guys have heard me talk about before because I really like the brand and I really trust them. So I use their shampoo and conditioner, and I use like this really cool sweetener, but this time I've been trying out this Hempanol. While you cannot directly put it on your eczema because it will burn, this is something that can be used preventatively.
The ingredients that really stand out to me is the supercritically extracted oregano oil and the hemp oil and the wild nettle seed oil. And I find these really incredible because they are so powerful as antiviral, antibacterial. They're really, really amazing for the skin, and it actually can feed the skin. So basically all of this means is that Hempanol is actually really good for your skin microbiome. And it's made from these really amazing whole foods, and it's a cream that glides on really smoothly and will actually go into the skin.
Which is really nice because I find a lot of products sit on top of the skin. So what I would do is use Hempanol on your skin and then actually seal it with the Eczema Soothing Balm, which is something that I put out recently, like a year ago. And I will link everything down in the description. I'll link the Hempanol and I'll link the Eczema Soothing Balm. So basically my balm is like shea butter and it's chamomile essential oil. There's prickly pear oil, borage oil. And so that is definitely something that sits more on top of the skin and allows the moisture to stay in. So you can kind of use those two in conjunction to seal your skin, make sure that there's good skin microbiome being developed, and you're sealing in the moisture. So I'm a huge fan of Hempanol, and I think if you've been researching eczema for a while, you'll definitely hear some of those ingredients like the honey and the oregano oil and the St. John's wort. And that's because all of those things contribute to a healthy skin microbiome. So let me run through an ideal day of preventative hand eczema. What I would do is, if you live inland, I would go garden for about an hour. I would come inside, heat up a little bucket, dump some dead sea salt in there, mix it around, make sure that it gets all dissolved, soak your hands for about 20 to 40 minutes, rinse your hands off, pat your hands dry, apply the Hempanol, then apply the Eczema Soothing Cream, and then just kind of let your hands sit like that for about 20 minutes. This would be something really good to do just like watching TV or something, where you're just not having to move. If you're somebody who lives on the coast, I would go to the sand, I would go into the ocean, and then kind of repeat the same process where you're doing a dead sea salt soak, and then you're gonna apply Hempanol, and then you're gonna apply the Eczema Soothing Balm. So that is all preventative, and that'll get you through the winter so that you're not developing severe hand eczema. Now we're gonna talk about what to do if you actually do have hand eczema currently on the surface of your hands. A lot of times what that's gonna look like is blisters and oozing skin. So on the hands, it's almost most common to see the blistering with the oozing. It's normal if you're seeing like patches that look dry and red. I will say that like patches that are more so like around the wrist, on the surface of the hand, not necessarily on the fingers as much. If it's not really raised and it's red and it's dry, it could be candida. If you are seeing a red sleeve, meaning that this whole area is just bright red, it'll get very dry and flaky, that is actually TSW. But if you're experiencing the blistering on the hands. That is most commonly caused from this whole skin microbiome issue. So a lot of times it's from wearing toxic gloves. Your skin is actually reacting to the toxic chemicals from these gloves, and I do have a couple recommendations for you. One, at night, you can use a zinc-infused glove. I'll link those in the description down below as well. It's a special type of fabric that's cooling and it's also healing. You can wear those at night as long as your hands aren't oozing. If your hands are oozing, don't put anything on at night. Don't put any moisturizers on. Leave your skin completely alone to just heal and ooze and do its thing, because you don't want it sticking to those gloves. If you're somebody who has a profession where you need to wear gloves, I just had somebody DM me this week who told me that they switched to 100% nitrile gloves. I will try to link those down below as well, and I'm gonna include photos here of their skin transformation. Another thing that you could try to do is to wear cotton gloves and buy larger plastic gloves to put over. It can get really sweaty, and this is kind of a catch-22 where the sweat actually changes your skin microbiome. So a lot of places where you sweat, like under your arms, or if you are sweating in these gloves, that's where staph loves that sort of wet environment. So you're gonna have to see how often you can change these gloves. This is a total complicated process. So everything I'm saying is a trial and error, and you're gonna have to figure out what works for you. But continually trying to find gloves that aren't causing a direct reaction could be very, very helpful for you. So if these like powdered gloves are causing reactions, change them. Try the 100% nitrile. If those aren't working, keep trying different gloves that are out on the market if you do have a profession where you need to wear gloves. If you're somebody that I just spoke about who does have to wear gloves for a living, as soon as you get home, I would need you to do a 30-minute dead sea salt soak with your hands every single day, because the gloves are changing your skin microbiome for the worst, and this dead sea salt soak is going to change it for the better. And so this is definitely something daily that you need to do. I do want to say, if you have the blisters and the oozing, just keep the moisturizer off. If you're somebody who has very dry, brittle, cracking, bleeding skin, I used to actually have that sort of eczema when I was super young. That's where you can use avocado oil. It soaks into the skin really, really well and can help you heal that situation. So hand eczema definitely isn't simple, and there's a lot of things, a lot of different factors that you need to try. I recently spoke to one of the students in Empowered Eczema. She has hand eczema, she is a nurse, and we were talking about trying different things underneath these gloves. So this week she's actually going to try Vaseline to try to create a barrier between her hands and the glove. So we're going to see if that works. As always, this is a learning experience for me and you. This is all of the things that I've learned from the community so far, and this information will always be changing as I learn more from you guys and from research. So make sure to follow me on Instagram, because I post to my stories almost every single day, and that's where I talk even more about all of this, where I can give you guys updates constantly and make sure that you guys know what the latest information is. So I hope this video was helpful. I do want you guys to try all those different things to make sure you figure out what works for your individual skin. Hand eczema can be from a variety of things, but across the board, the dead sea salt soaks can help everybody, and getting your hands dirty if you currently do not have eczema can help a lot. So leave any questions in the comments down below, and I'll see you guys in my next video.
Crashing